Hi everyone, and welcome to our first webinar of the week for National Careers Week. We're starting this week with BioScience, and we're joined today by one of our lecturers, Rachel Grant, who's going to be talking to you shortly about her career journey and the BioScience course that we have here at LSBU, along with different career paths that you can take with that. This is the first, set of 5 that are taking place this week, 4 till 4:30 every single day. So if you're interested in hearing more about different courses that we have at LSBU, please do check out the website, which is www.lsbu.ac.uk. On the What's On page, you can find the links to all of those webinars and join us again at 4 o'clock this week to see a little bit more about the other courses on offer. We do have the Q&A box open today, so what we'd like you to do, if you have any questions at all during the presentation for Rachel, do pop them in there, and at the end we'll pick those up and get them answered for you. So do interact with us today. We're really looking for some conversation with you guys and making sure that you leave here today with any questions that you have answered. I think that's all from me, so I'm going to hand straight over to Rachel to get started, and we hope you enjoy.
Hi everyone, thanks for coming. My name is Dr. Rachel Grant and I'm a Senior Lecturer in Bioscience at LSBU. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how I got into this career and what it's like to study at LSBU, and also the sorts of careers that you could go into in the environmental biology and conservation sector. So first of all, how did I get to be a lecturer in Bioscience and environment? So I took quite a circuitous route, so I didn't go directly into that. I went around a little bit. So I did my undergraduate degree in biology in the University of Manchester. I graduated in 1990, all those years ago, very long time ago. And I wasn't sure at the time whether I wanted to do ecology or whether I was more interested in biomedical side. And I was really like sort of dithering between the two and I couldn't decide. When I graduated, I got a job as a research assistant in the lung immunobiochemical lab, so I became a research biochemist. I did that for 3 years. Then I still wasn't really sure what I wanted to do, so I kind of drifted around for about 10 years. So never feel that it's too late to change your mind. So I went into sales and marketing, mainly for scientific publishers. Then I was thinking I really need to sort of think about what I really want to do, and I was trying to think what I was passionate about, and it always came back to the animals, ecology, animal behaviour, welfare, conservation, all that sort of stuff. So I thought I'm going to do a PhD in it. First of all, I did a postgraduate diploma in animal behaviour at Southampton University, and then I did a PhD part-time with the Open University while working at the same time, and my topic was the behavioural ecology of amphibians. So I looked at how environmental factors like moon phase, magnetic fields and seismic activity affected mating in common toads. So I really went after something that I was interested in looking at rather than worrying about how I was going to get a career in it. I just thought, I've spent years doing jobs, and now I want to do something that I am passionate about, which hasn't got any necessarily commercial interest or career path. I just want to do it. So I did it. I found out that the toads and frogs mate under the full moon. They like to, the full moon affects their hormones, and they all gather together and mate under a full moon, and that was the finding from my PhD, and no one had realised that before. Also, an earthquake happened during my research, which enabled me to look at the responses of the toads to seismic activity. I got a little bit famous for a while, so I'll see if that opens. Will this open on here? Let's have a look. So that's just one of my that's one of the stories from the BBC on my research. And then there's another one here about the earthquake. And that was in The Guardian. So that's some of my research that I did. So it went quite well. And then what did I do after that? So during my PhD, this is crucial, really. I think this helped me a lot in getting a career in this area. During my PhD, as I was doing it part-time, I took a lot of low-pay, part-time, hourly paid, sort of zero contract type jobs in the ecology and zoology sectors. This was really crucial because it enabled me, by the time I finished my PhD, it enabled me to have actual experience in the sector. So that was really important to build up my CV while I was doing the PhD. So during my PhD, I worked for 3 years in the British Antarctic Survey, and that was, it sounds quite glamorous, but it's quite a sort of menial job really, putting DNA sequence data from Antarctic animals into a database. I also worked as a technician in the zoology department at Oxford University. This involved cleaning up the lab, removing rubbish and making solutions, so it definitely wasn't glamorous. and I was quite poor for a very long time. Some very useful contacts, and it looked really good on my CV to have both of those organisations, British Antarctic Survey and Oxford University. No one really needs to know that I was cleaning up rubbish. It just looked really good. So, and I made quite a lot of useful people that I met there. Also, at the same time, I supplemented my income by doing private tuition, teaching biology A-level. That also turned out to be really, really helpful later on, and I'll explain that in a minute. So my first proper job in the sector, after going through all that, I think I was 40 by then, was in 2010 when I was appointed full-time lecturer at Anglia Ruskin University in Cambridge. I taught animal behaviour, freshwater ecology, animal welfare, and I taught on a master's degree animal behaviour applications for conservation. Now, I don't think I would have got that job if I hadn't done all the teaching, the private tuition that I'd been doing. So that meant that I was then in a position to go for a teaching job. I was up against other graduates who'd literally just done a PhD, done their degree, and they had no teaching experience. So the fact that I had done that teaching experience meant that I was able to get that job. And also the fact that I'd worked in those zoology roles and the ecology role in British Antarctic Survey and in Oxford University were really important in them seeing that I was very, very motivated, because I did the PhD while doing the work as well. So they could see that I was highly motivated to do a PhD at the same time as working in those roles. So then I stayed there 5 years. Then I worked in part-time roles again because of family commitments. And then in 2020, I was appointed senior lecturer in BioScience at LSBU. What did I learn from this very torturous and very convoluted, long journey? What I learned from this was it's never too late to do what you want to do. I spent 3 years as a medical biochemist and 10 years in marketing before I decided to do my PhD in ecology. So it really is never too late. I remember when I was doing my A-levels, I thought that if I missed a year out of my A-levels, or if I went on a gap year or whatever, it would be too late to do this and too late to do that. It is never too late. I didn't really start my PhD till I was 30. I didn't finish it till I was 40. It's not too late. If you want to work in the animal, environmental or conservation sectors, you need to be prepared to take opportunities like voluntary work, internships or part-time low-pay positions in order to get work experience material for your CV and to get contacts in the industry. Most jobs require a degree in this sector, but you only need a PhD if you're going for academic jobs. So you don't, for most of the jobs that I'm going to talk about, you don't need a PhD, only if you want to be a lecturer. Ideally, you should pick a degree course that has some sort of built-in work experience. Mine didn't, so I had to do a lot of work experience on my own. A lot of degrees nowadays have some work experience placements built into them, or some sort of employability modules. If you pick those, then you'll have an edge over graduates from degrees which don't have built-in work placements. If you're persistent and you don't give up, eventually you will land the job of your dreams. This is a picture of me after I started working at Anglia Ruskin University, talking about oarfish, because I was interviewed by some magazine, I can't remember, about oarfish and whether they could predict earthquakes or not. But I just put that picture in there because that's me doing field work. So that's me doing the actual work in the field. Okay, so what I want to share with you now is some resources. If you're interested in this sector and you want to see the kind of jobs that you could apply for, I've got some resources here that you could look at. There's a Facebook group and it's just called Conservation Careers. So if you just go to Facebook and you search on Conservation Careers, you will get that one. The other one that's really brilliant website, which I can just click on and show you, is Environment Job. So most of the jobs in environmental, most of the jobs in the environmental sector are advertised here in Environment Job. So I'll just go to that and show you that website. So Environment Job, everyone in the environmental sector advertises here. So we've got 388 jobs. The sector is quite buoyant at the moment. So you can see the type of jobs that you can get here. Really interesting range of different jobs. Now you can also search here on location at the side, on the left-hand side. You can search on the type of sector within the environmental sector, so whether you're interested in wildlife and conservation or whether you're interested more in a sustainable transport, for example, you could search on the type of job you want, the location and the job function, whether you're a marketing person within this or whether you're academic or admin or whatever. Okay, even on part-time, full-time. So that's a really good place to find either your job after graduation or just to get a part-time job to get experience while you're doing your degree. Okay. So that's environment job. There's also this one, Conservation Careers website, which is linked to the Facebook group, but it's just a different format, and they put loads of jobs on there as well. So you can see some of them are going to overlap with the environment job, but loads of interesting stuff there. Okay. And finally, The Guardian does have an environmental section as well. It's just a small selection of some of the websites out there, but there are more, but these are the ones that I mainly look at. So we've got lots of jobs there. Okay, The Guardian. So they're just some resources for you. Okay, so now I want to talk a little bit about what it would be like to study this topic at London South Bank University. Now, one thing I must say is that we're recruiting for this degree for 2023 now. We have paused the course for 2022 input because we're making it better. So we're improving everything and adding more bits, and it will be ready to enroll on in September 2023. Okay, but you can apply now for September 23. So we have designed this degree, and we're trying to, at the moment it's called BioScience, and we are actually in the process of renaming it to better reflect its content that it's got in it. So our new name is hopefully going to be Environmental Biology and Conservation degree. All right. So we're going to, the point of the degree is to find solutions to global problems. So to equip you when you finish and when you graduate to help you to be able to help to find solutions to these challenges that we have on our planet. Climate change, plastic pollution, habitat fragmentation, biodiversity loss, animal welfare, all this type of problems, you'll be equipped to be able to help to solve them after you've done this degree. And it's a very hands-on degree, it's a very practical degree, and it teaches you skills as well as theoretical aspects of it. So I'm just going to give you an example of some of the modules, and then we'll look at the modules in more detail. So these are just an overview of some modules. We've got an animal behaviour module, a genetics module, environmental biochemistry, ecological census techniques, and we're just working with the forensic science department to put in forensic ecology into there as well. Advanced wildlife conservation, sustainability, a research project, and ecosystems. And my email address is there as well in case you want to contact me, and I'll also give you that again at the end. I decided not to move. Hang on, there we go. This is the whole list of the modules that are in our degree in environmental biology and conservation. And as you'll see, and the first year, each one has 20 credits. So that's just the number of credits you get, and you have to have a certain number to progress to each level. All right, so each year has 6 modules, 3 in the first semester and 3 in the second semester, and that's pretty standard across quite a lot of universities. All right, so you do 3 modules in the first semester. You will do in the first year, we're going to teach you general biology and give you a really good grounding in everything to do with biology: cell biology, molecular biology, genetics, micro, biochemistry, and whole animal biology. All right, physiology and anatomy. So you get the whole first year of a biology degree. Then the degree starts to specialise in the second year. So in the second year, you start to specialise more in the ecology and conservation side and the environment. We've got biodiversity, phylogenetics and evolution. We've got nutrition, health and disease, which is basically animal and plant nutrition, health and disease. Animal behaviour and welfare, ecology and census techniques. And then if you notice on the right hand side, we've got professional work placement. This is really important. You actually will spend a whole semester working in an organisation of your choice, whether it be a veterinary surgeon, an animal rescue charity, a sustainable business, a waste treatment company, an ecological consultancy, the RSPB reserve. Wherever you choose to work, you will work there and you'll keep a log of it. And that will be so valuable for your CV and set you apart from other graduates in the industry who perhaps haven't got that work experience. Then in the third year, we go much more advanced and specialised. You do a research project, which is over 2 semesters, and we'll talk about that later. You also have an ecosystems module, which has a field trip attached to it as well, where we go and actually look at ecosystems out there in the field overseas. We don't know exactly where the field trip will be at the moment. We have advanced wildlife conservation, which gives you tools and techniques such as captive breeding and release, this type of things. Sustainability and employability, that's another employability module which will help you work in a sustainable business. And current perspectives in bioscience is a science communication module, and it involves things like documentary filmmaking, press releases, all that sort of stuff to do with communicating science. So that's the full module list. These are some of the techniques that you would learn if you studied with us. You'd learn about centrifuging, like microscopy, cell and tissue processing. In the genetics and molecular biology module, you would learn about gene cloning, PCR. Everyone's heard of PCR these days, haven't they? Column chromatography, cell culture, restriction analysis, gel electrophoresis, and gel documentation. Then in microbiology, aseptic transfer of microorganisms, culturing, identification, different types of staining, lots of stuff, antibiotics. Environmental biochemistry, you would learn basic techniques like pipetting, dilutions, spectroscopy, and electron microscopy. And that's where it says analysis of pollutants and ecotoxins, that should be under environmental biochemistry. Sorry about that. And then ecology, you learn about identifying taxa, using keys, sampling, biomonitoring, eDNA, forensic ecology, bat detecting, call surveys. Animal behaviour and welfare, we do ethograms, which is looking at various aspects of animals' behaviour and scoring them. And current perspectives, again, we do documentary filmmaking. Advanced wildlife conservation, we learn how to use geographic information systems in biology and how to track animals moving across continents, etc. And we do some wildlife forensics, fingerprint and DNA for trafficking wildlife, so we can detect people that are, for example, pangolin scales. Quite often people leave the traffickers will leave their fingerprints on the pangolin scales, so we can detect that. In research methods and project, you will learn statistical techniques, modelling and basic programming. So a very big range of techniques that you'll learn. You might be thinking, how do we get assessed on this degree? Well, each module will have 2 assignments. I'm just giving you some examples very quickly. In the first year, you'll mainly be doing lab reports on experiments that you've carried out. In the second year, one of the assignments is to observe animals and make an ethogram, which is a list of their behaviours, and present this as a poster. In the third year, we have a 20-minute documentary film that you'll make addressing a controversial problem in biology. And there'll be a choice of topics based on what was discussed over the module. So quite often we give you choices of species that you want to work on, choices of what topic you want to write your assignment about. So there's lots of choice, and we don't have any exams after the first year. So only the first year has exams. After that, it's all coursework. We do a lot of trips and visits to interesting and exciting organisations and field centres. So we have Crocodiles of the World we go to. We go to Secret World, which is a wildlife rescue and release organisation. There's the chance to do your British Divers Marine Life Rescue badge, where you learn how to rescue seals and dolphins that have got stuck, and Hedgehog Rescue Centre, and many more places that we take you to as well. It's just showing some of the field work that you would do: bird ringing, bat detecting, frog surveys. So there's also a research project which you do. In year 2, you do a research methods module. We're preparing you for carrying out research, and you'll choose your topic. These are some examples of projects. There's a lot of different, there's a lot of different topics that you will learn that you can choose from. Examples of this year, we've got a student looking at colour preference in garden birds. Do they care what colour their bird feeder is? We've got things like, do animals change their activity with lunar cycles? Microplastics, do they threaten the environmental food supply? Welfare of India's temple elephants, zoo enclosure used by big cats. So we do put a lot of employability into our courses. So we give you all the tools that you need to directly enter the workplace. So even if you don't end up working while you do your degree, you will come out of the degree with work experience, because we build it into the degree. And we also build in skills-based modules where you can assess your own skills, and from that you can decide what skills you need to develop. So we do a whole modules just about skills developing and CV writing and charting your path through the sector and deciding what you want to do, so that hopefully, like me, you'll know what you want to do instead of spending 10 years doing something you don't want to do. So hopefully we can guide you a bit better through these modules. You will go to the work placement. I've already talked about the work placement, so you'll go on a work placement. And in the final year, we have a sustainable business module, and we do a sort of Dragon's Den pitch where you pitch about a sustainable business. Examples of jobs you could apply for after doing our degree. These are just some jobs which I looked at on environment job. So all these sort of things would be something that you could go into. And if you want to find out more about the degree, there's a website there. Or if you just search on BioScience at London South Bank, you can find out more about the degree starting in 2023. We also have an open day coming up on the 26th of March, I think. So that is also on a Saturday, which you're more than welcome to attend and see everything here for yourself. And that's it really. If you've got any questions. Anyone got any questions? I'm going to just exit from this.
Amazing, thank you for that, Rachel. That's really interesting to hear about the course, and especially your journey as well on the toad research sounds really interesting too. So thanks for sharing that. And we have got a few questions. So what I will do is, if you don't mind, I'll read some of those out to you and give you a chance to answer those. You have touched on some of them already. So I'll start with the perhaps ones that we haven't heard a bit about, and then we can go back. One of the questions says, what do you look for on a personal statement for someone wanting to study bioscience?
I think on a personal statement, I'd be looking for you to show your passion for the subject, because you're going to be studying this subject for 3 years. So you have to have a real love for the subject and passion for it. So I think I'll be looking for that shines through, you know, the fact that you really like biology, was always your favourite subject. You know, you especially love the ecology environment side, maybe something about what you hope to do in your future career. Although that wouldn't be set in stone, you know, you maybe say, oh, one day I'd like to do this or that, or just say something like, I'm not sure yet, I want to explore all these topics so that I can then decide what I want to do. If you've done any voluntary work or anything, like you worked for a vet or you've done some conservation volunteering, anything like that, you could put on to show your commitment to the field. We also want to see that when you come to us, that you're going to meet your deadlines. We do put in lots of support for you, but we want to see that you're going to meet your deadlines, you're going to come here and take it seriously, and come to all your classes and be a good student and be responsible and you know, meet the deadlines and put your best effort into getting your degree. So we'd like to see some sort of evidence, I suppose, that you're quite a conscientious person. Perhaps you've done some part-time work, or you've overcome some sort of odds to get your A-levels. So just something to show your character, your strength of character, really. Does that help?
Yeah, I think that sounds really good, thank you. The next question says, what's the most interesting thesis you've read from your students?
That's quite funny. I think one year I set an essay about Genghis Khan. Now, Genghis Khan was a sort of dictator who went around pillaging and slaughtering people in Mongolia a long time ago. And we were doing a module on animal behaviour and evolution. And I set an essay about whether it was all about evolution, about whether Genghis Khan's strategy was inherited by his descendants or not, and if not, why, if it was such a good strategy, because he did have a lot of children, he had like hundreds of children. So if it's such a good evolutionary strategy, why didn't it become the norm for people to go around acting like this? Because it clearly didn't. So a lot of students found this a very difficult essay, but one particular girl, she actually wrote something so interesting and amazing. She researched the whole thing from every point of view, the genetics of it, the evolution of it, and even the sociology of it. And she wrote, she found out that he'd been an orphan, he'd been rejected by his parents and brought up by foster parents. So he'd been abandoned, and that she thought that had caused him to actually behave like that. So he'd obviously had like some sort of maternal deprivation or something that caused him to behave like that. So it wasn't a genetic thing, it was actually a developmental problem that he had. Therefore, he didn't pass on the tendency to behave like that to his offspring because it wasn't a genetic thing. So she actually, I thought that was absolutely brilliant, and I gave her like 90% for it. So that was probably the most fascinating essay that I've written, that I read, because she put something extra into it that I wasn't expecting.
Sounds like she took a psychological sort of point of view on that one.
Yeah,
still applied science,
biology has so many different aspects to it. You know, overlaps with psychology, overlaps with evolutionary biology, overlaps with environmental science, with medicine. It's got so many biology. When you study biology, you just overlap with a lot of different other subjects, and you can go in lots of different directions, which is why I think it's the most fascinating subject.
Sure. And the question says, what A levels do you need to get onto the course?
Okay, we're looking for 2 A levels, C, D, or so I think it would be a C or a CD and above. And we are looking for one of them to be a science A level, ideally biology. Or we're looking for access courses with a high biology component, or BTECs with merit, and having a biology subject in there.
Amazing.
But we'll look at any science A level, because we do teach you the basics in the first year.
Cool. And the next question, perhaps because it's what we've spoken about a lot today, so maybe this one might be good to help to clarify. It says, is bioscience all about animals?
No, it's more about ecology, I would say. So we have it's more about animals than plants, but it's all about everything. So we have a module. If I go back to some of the modules, where are they? It's a good question, actually. If we look at this one, biology of organisms, that is mainly about animals. If we look at nutrition, health and disease, that's about plants, fungi and animals. If we look at biodiversity, phylogenetics and evolution, that's about all the taxa. So that one is all about classification. So we look at all the different things, bacteria, we look at everything. Obviously microbiology is all about bacteria. So we look at everything, fungi, plants, and we look at it very much as a system. So animals don't exist just on their own. They exist as an ecological system with everything else on Earth. So we look at it very much as a system. Having said that, so there's a lot in there that's not animals. Having said that, there are some modules that are purely animal based. So they would be animal behavior and probably the organisms one. Whereas ecology and census techniques, that's about everything. You know, you could do census techniques on plants. You can monitor plants, trees, things like that. Projects, you could do it on anything you want, any topic you want. Ecosystems is on a very big scale, so you're looking at the large scales like deserts and things like that, and polar regions. So again, it's not just animals. Sustainability, not just animals. So yeah, I would say it's probably like, it covers everything. It does cover everything from the molecular biology right through to the whole organism, right through to the ecosystem, and it covers all the diversity of taxa, but there is a bigger focus on animals. I hope that answers the question.
Lovely. And I guess just one last question, which I'll ask you, because it is National Careers Week, just to kind of finish off, sure. What has for you been the best moment of your career in bioscience so far?
Oh, that's such a hard question, because there's been so many. I think getting this job at LSBU was a massive good point for me, because I really love it here, and to be a senior lecturer in bioscience is my dream. So that was a good point. Another highlight was when I was working in Italy, doing my field work for my PhD. I was climbing a mountain, and I came across a whole pool full of really rare salamanders that were breeding. That was another high point. When I found out that frogs all mate on the full moon, and the BBC picked up my research, that was another high point. So really, so many. I've been so fortunate.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Well, thank you again for coming along today and telling us about bioscience and your journey as well. I hope that's been useful for people to hear about. As I said, for those on the call, there are other webinars going on this week if you'd like to come back and join us. And as Rachel mentioned earlier, there is an open day on the 26th of March where you can come along and find out more about those courses that we've been discussing today and just LSBU in general. And you can sign up for that on the website, as I discussed earlier, which is www.lsbu.ac.uk. But thanks for coming along today. Thanks again, Rachel, for sharing that with us. And yeah, hopefully we'll see you all again soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.